What is going on, Steeler Nation? This is Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome back to Steelers Almighty, man. Thank you guys for being in here. I appreciate it. Again, Steelers Almighty is the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for showing up and showing out like you always do, man. Lot going on today. Lot going on. Not necessarily on the practice front, but in the front as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we're going to get into a little bit of that. Look, I told you guys we were going to be done with Brandon Aiyuk talk, and today is the last day until something happens because we've got some news here for you guys that is very, very intriguing. It makes some sense, and I now believe if he gets traded, he'll be a Pittsburgh Steeler. So we're going to cover a little bit of that. Also talk about, we got to start returning the focus to the actual game and get past this Aiyuk stuff and figure out. I've been a Steelers fan a long time, man, and I'll be honest with you. The first preseason game, people are usually looking forward to that. Everybody's talking about it all over the place. And we haven't been talking about it because we've been focused on this trade so much. I think we got to get back to it, man. We got to get back to it. So I appreciate everybody there. And then last but not least, breakout star or somebody that's going to have a breakout season. Who do we think that's a little bit underrated nationally or in the National Football League, league-wide, that can have a breakout season? So we'll get in a little bit of that and also your questions. Again, as always, remember to like, follow, subscribe. We appreciate all of that. Steelers Almighty is everywhere on social media. Make sure you subscribe there. Obviously on YouTube at youtube.com/Steelers Almighty and anywhere you get a podcast. So let's get into it, people. Let's get into this thing. So the first things first, Brandon Aiyuk. There's reports today by several different sources that he turned down $32 million a year to go to the New England Patriots. So you can take one or two things out of that. One is this guy insane? At $32 million a year, he's turning that down. Or are you looking at it as, you know what, he just didn't want to go to New England? And I know people will say, well, they can trade him anywhere they want. They can, but if he's not going to sign a long-term deal, the new team isn't going to want him for what they're going to have to give up to get him. So he turned it down, $32 million. Yeah, I get it. If he doesn't want to go there, that's a good sign, number one, because we're in this day and age as everything is about the money. Well, don't get me wrong. If he takes $27 million, it's not like he's going to be in the poorhouse or anything like that. I mean, let's get serious. Having said all of that, he could always just say, I'm going to the highest bidder no matter what. We've seen that from guys. No matter what. The team could be terrible. But you know what? They wanted to pay me the most, so that's where I went. And I don't blame anybody for that, by the way. Take as much as you can get. You can only play football a certain amount of time. I get it, man. I get it. But that's a good sign if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Because, number one, if he was going to Cleveland, that deal would have already been done. Amari Cooper shipped out last year of his deal. You bring in a younger Brandon Aiyuk, give him a new deal. Boom, deal's done. Doesn't sound like he wanted to go to Cleveland either because that deal would have already been done. Doesn't want to go to New England. Hey, they don't have a quarterback or they got young guys that are unproven. The team isn't going to be very good. I'm not trying to go somewhere and just lose, even though I'll be filthy rich. I don't want to go somewhere and just lose. I'm not going to New England either. So now it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, granted, there can be other teams. Look, man, don't just be enamored because we're Steeler fans that nobody else is out there looking for Brandon Aiyuk. There can be back channel deals being worked all over the place. I think we got to keep that in mind. Yes, there's been a ton of leaks in this situation, but don't kid ourselves and think that we're the only team that's going to offer Brandon Aiyuk something that still nobody else out there is offering, because I was going to say San Diego, but the Los Angeles Chargers, there is an absolute need at wide receiver for them. And they got a big-time quarterback. So if they could pull off a trade, I think they could still do. So don't count out other teams, people. It may seem like we're in the driver's seat, and hopefully we are, but there's still other teams out there trying to get Brandon Aiyuk too. It's not just the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, and New England Patriots. Keep that in mind. But having said all of that, I still believe it's a good move. This is what I think now. I think if Brandon Aiyuk gets traded, I think it's to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number one, because he wants to play for the Steelers. Somebody said in the comments, players want to play for Tomlin. They do. They do. Whether all of us fans like Tomlin or not, whether we're fed up with him, we think he's a cheerleader, yada, 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 whatever the case may be, players want to play for him. And isn't that the only thing that really counts? If players want to play for the head coach, regardless of what we think as fans, if we can get as many good players that want to be a part of this organization because of the coach, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So that's number one. It looks like Aiyuk's wanting to play for Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if it happens, I think he gets traded for the Steelers because he's got a little bit of leverage because he can decide where he wants to sign an extension to. He can make that decision. Now, here's the I guess the devil's advocate to all of that. San Francisco can still play hardball, people. San Francisco can still say, you know what? We're not trading you. If you're going to play football with us, you're going to play football with us this year. It's going to be with the San Francisco 49ers. So if you want to play in the NFL, it's going to be for us or nobody because we're not trading you. And San Francisco can do that and just say, you know what? We're going all in on this season and this season alone to try to win a Super Bowl. Because next year, they got to pay Brock Purdy. So if you got to pay Brock Purdy, you're going to lose some people. Brandon Aiyuk is going to be one of those people that they lose. You know, they're not giving up McCaffrey. I would doubt very seriously, although he's still holding out, that they're going to give up Trent Williams because Trent Williams hasn't slipped. I know he's a little older, but he hasn't slipped at all. So he's still playing at an elite level. They could technically get out of Debo after next year or after this season, but I don't think they're going to do it. And I think it's actually after next season. They could get out of that. But, okay, that's after next season. So then where? I mean, they're not getting rid of Fred Warner. I mean, you're not doing that. They're not paying big-time money at cornerback. So this is the guy. This is one of the guys that's going to be gone. So it's just that. But San Francisco could clearly say, nope, we're not trading you. We're going all in, and we'll just lose you to free agency. Or they could even say, we're going to franchise you. You're not playing anywhere but San Francisco for the next 3 years. Come to grips with it or don't, but that's what's happening. I mean, Brandon Aiyuk's not going to say no to the money. I mean, because it's $14 million this year. It's probably 19 to 20 next year if they franchise them. And then it's $25 million the year after that. So while he might be mad, he's not going to say no, which is why he wants all this guaranteed money now, because he knows, hey, in 3 years, if they did this in 3 years of franchising, this is what I would get. Throw on some more money on top of that, and boom, that's where we go. So I don't know. That's my thinking. That's the devil's advocate of San Francisco just saying no. So I don't think he's going to go. Like I said, he already turned down $32 million. Maybe if New England says, okay, 35. Okay. That and maybe he says, okay, I'll take 35. But $3 million difference, don't get me wrong, $3 million is a lot of money. But when you're talking about 32 to 35 and you not wanting to go there for the reasons that I laid out, why would you do that for an extra $3 million? Let's call it 9 over 3 years. You wouldn't do that. You're not going to. So New England's going to be out. New England is out. Cleveland, somebody put in the comments, said Aiyuk won't go to Cleveland because of Watson. Maybe. I mean, who knows what Deshaun Watson is at this point, man? I mean, there's Cleveland fans out there that are holding on to the fact that saying, well, when Deshaun Watson started the games last year, we were 4-1. And that's true. Although one of those games was Pittsburgh Steelers that he lost. But did y'all watch the football games? Outside of the one half against Baltimore, Deshaun Watson was an absolute disaster last year. So who's going there? And again, that just comes back to Cleveland fans, man. It is what it is. It is what I don't even want to go into it because we could be making fun of Cleveland fans from here till the end of time. And it would be funny every time we made fun of him. It just is what it is. We're not here to do that today. At least we're not here to do that right now. We can do that later, and we'll all laugh. But right now, we're not here to do that. So, bottom line is, if Aiyuk gets traded, I think the Steelers are the team. Another report that's come out about all of it is that it's the 49ers that are holding this thing up now. That there was a deal that was agreed to in principle, and now the 49ers are coming back and saying they want more. Or they want George Pickens, or they want Pat Freiermuth. Well, first of all, I'm not saying that they shouldn't want George Pickens, but why would the Steelers trade Pickens for Aiyuk? That makes absolutely no sense. First of all, well, I shouldn't continue to say first of all. The first thing is George Pickens is better than Brandon Aiyuk, in my opinion. That's number one. Number two, the Steelers would be in the exact same boat that they're in right now. You got one great receiver, and you don't have another one. So there's no reason to make that swap. Absolutely none. So, no, that makes no sense. Although we want Aiyuk, we're not desperate, man. You're not going to just bend us over and have us give you George Pickens. And now let's go to Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth's in a contract year. Why would we trade Pat Freiermuth? He's the tight end of the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. In this offense, yeah, we need a guy like Pat Freiermuth. Why would we trade him? We're not trading him. So those two guys are off limits. There's been some comments and people, the Steeler fans, and I've had to smack them down a little bit and say, hey, man, what are you talking about? Come on, snap out of it. Saying, well, I don't want to give up Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin is a Steeler. We love him. But you're telling me that you wouldn't give up Calvin Austin to get Brandon Aiyuk? Well, we haven't seen anything out of Calvin Austin yet. I think that's part of the point. We haven't seen him do anything. Wasn't like he was hurt last year. He just wasn't very good. Blame it all on all the offense that you want. Brandon Aiyuk is miles better than Calvin Austin. That's just a fact. That's not bad-mouthing Calvin Austin. We're just stating facts. You know how we do it at Steelers Almighty. So, come on, people. But I think that's the deal right now. 49ers are holding up the trade. And at some point, I think Omar Khan just says, do you want to trade him or do you not? And the Steelers Almighty, we gave a 48-hour window. We gave a 48-hour window that we needed to just move on. Well, that 48 hours is up. It's up. So now what are we going to do? Are we going to continue to play this Mickey Mouse game with them? Or are we going to say, hey, man, do you want to trade the guy? We're not giving you these guys, so take them off the table. Do you want James Daniels and a second-round pick? You can have them. Well, you want a wide receiver back in the deal. We offered you Calvin Austin. You don't want to take him. That's what we got. Yes or no? No? Okay, fine. Move on. Thank you very much. We're moving on with our season. And I'll be honest with you, people. The preseason game, and that brings me to the second point, the preseason game is tomorrow. I think the Steelers got a Sunday deadline, and they're going to tell San Francisco, that's it. We're moving on. And I don't even think it needs to be Sunday. I'd call Saturday. Saturday at 3 o'clock. Either you agree to the deal or you don't. We're out of here if you don't. That's it. Don't call us back. And I don't care if you call us back a week later offering the same thing, because we got to get ready for a season. And that's what I'm talking about with this next point. We got to return focus to our talented roster, man. Yeah, we have a talented roster. The Pittsburgh Steelers got an opportunity. We're playing a preseason game tomorrow, and nobody's even talking about it. Nobody's even talking about it. Everybody is just talking about this trade. Brandon Aiyuk. I'm doing the same thing. I even swore I wasn't going to. Brandon Aiyuk. Okay, we need him. He can help us. But if he's not here, then that doesn't mean that we're not playing a football season. So let's just move on, man. We've got pieces. We've got stuff in place. We talked about an Arthur Smith offense and what it needs to be successful. Let's just do that. Again, I love Aiyuk. I think he's great. He's not better than Pickens. And I know a lot of people, he's not better than Pickens. He's just not. Y'all seen what George Pickens can do and the talent and what he's been able to do with erratic, let's just call it with piss poor quarterback play and offensive coordinator play calling. Lord have mercy. But the man is out there doing his thing. Will Brandon Aiyuk help our offense? Of course it would. Do we want him? Yeah. I think it's okay for Steeler fans to say that we want him. That's okay to say. You know, we don't have to just, well, we got guys in place. And hey, man, we want the best roster that we can possibly have. That's what we want, to be able to go try to win a Super Bowl. That's what we want. So it's okay to say that we want them. But it's time to turn the page. It's time to focus on the game. I'm excited about tomorrow's preseason game, man. I really am. I know it's preseason football. And I'll be the first person to admit I can't really get into preseason football all that much. I never have been able to. When I played football, not professional, when I played college football at Kansas State years and years, I mean, it's almost been 30 years ago. During the scrimmages, if I wasn't a part of the scrimmage, I wasn't paying attention. You know, I've never been able to get into preseason football. Jamborees in high school, I didn't get into preseason football then either. It's just, hey, man, let me know when the real game starts. Having said that, I'm excited to see some of our rookies. I'm excited to see those guys get on the football field, make rookie mistakes early, and get it all out of the way. Just get that stuff out of the way. Get those nervous butterflies. Get rid of that stuff. Go hit somebody else that's on another team. Yeah, you've been hitting on guys that were on your team. Go beat on somebody else. I like it. So I'm going to be watching the preseason game. We are going to have a live afterwards. We're going to talk about what we see tomorrow. So just so you guys know, Steelers Almighty, after the preseason game, we will be going live. Yeah, we will be going live, man. And we're going to be right here talking about what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we can see that can get better. We'll be right here. And just as a reminder, we're going to be doing it all year long, too, during the regular season. We're going to be right here. 15 minutes after the game, we will be live, taking questions, taking all this stuff, taking it all in, people. Talking Steelers football. Absolutely. So let's get to some comments here. So, my man, so wavy Chris. Either we get him or not, I believe in Roman Wilson. See, you've been copying me, my man, so wavy Chris. You've been listening to Steelers Almighty. I've said from the beginning, I like Roman Wilson. I think Roman Wilson fits this offense as a number 2 receiver. First of all, you know he wants to block. He came out and said it. Hey, man, I have no problem blocking because at Michigan, if you didn't block, you didn't get the ball. Well, he got the ball a lot at Michigan, which means he was doing a whole lot of blocking. Good for him. He's physical. He's a good route runner, fast. Get that ankle healthy. If we don't get Brandon Aiyuk, I'm good with Roman Wilson. I'm good with it. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. So, what else we got? The only way I'm on board with Aiyuk deal is if we don't give up a first round and contract is something. Oh, yeah. Oh, say it again. Nibby, man, absolutely. We're not giving up no first round pick for Aiyuk. I don't even think that's on the table, to be honest with you. It's got to be a day 2 pick. A day 2 pick at maximum. We're not giving up no first round pick. And I'm also with you on the sub $30 million. Yeah, man. Look, those other guys that are getting this $30 million contract, they've done more than he has. They're just doing more than he has. Would I be mad if he got a Devontae Smith type of deal? No. I think that's probably in line. But that ain't $30 million. So, yeah, anywhere between 25 and 27, I can work with you. I don't like it, but it is what it is. This is the day and age for paying wide receivers these days. It's just the way that it is. So, yeah, I could work with it. But first round pick, no way. No way. So, my man Ronald Lewis, Mr. Negative, or Ronald Luna, negativity, he blocks, but can he actually block at the NFL level? Well, how do you know that he can't block at the NFL level, my man? Come on now. Don't be a glass is half empty type of guy. You don't know that he can't block at the NFL level. But I tell you what, The Steelers didn't draft him because they didn't think that he couldn't. I know that. They didn't say, you know what, let's get Roman Wilson. We know we need him to block, but we don't think he can block. So we're going to take him in the third round. That's not what they did. So stop. Stop. Jiminy Christmas. It's always, and Hines Ward was small too, but he was the best blocking wide receiver in football. I mean, he wasn't 6'4", 220, but somehow he made it work, and people actually feared Hines Ward. It's always something, man. Come on, don't be a glass half empty guy, man. Not today. Not today. Be positive. Try to be positive. Look, there's going to be some times when we're going to have to be negative on here. Today ain't that day. It ain't that day. Be a glass half full guy. That's okay. Not half empty. Be glass half full. We're all right, man. So, now, and he's small now. I get it. But first of all, just because he's short, that doesn't mean small. There's a totally different thing. Short doesn't mean small. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So, yeah, they did make a new rule because of Hines Ward. They absolutely did. Like I said, people feared Hines Ward. People feared Hines Ward. So, And Ronald, you're lying. I haven't been negative about the Brandon Aiyuk trade. I know this is going to be your thing, the negativity guy. I get it, man. I 100% get it. But that hasn't been me. I said what I didn't want if we made the trade. That's what I said. I didn't think that he shouldn't be on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've never said that. I said we can't give up a first, and I don't want to pay him $30 million, and I don't think we necessarily need him to be good. We don't. But does he make us better? Yeah. But we can't give up stupid stuff. So it is what it is. It is what it is. My man, Kevin Reed. What's he got? I'd give up a 2025 second-round pick, a 2026 second-round pick, and James. That's what they've been talking about. That's what's been reported all over the place. I'm not giving up 2 second-round picks for Aiyuk. I wouldn't do that. Now, they might end up doing it, but for me, it would be a second and a fourth, and then you can have James Daniels. Because if they take James Daniels, they're re-signing him. They're not taking him for 1 year, and then they're going to be done with James Daniels. That's not what's happening. If they get James Daniels, he'll have a contract extension before the season starts. That's why the 49ers would take him. So if you're going to take a guy that you're going to keep, there's a premium you got to pay for that. Just like the Steelers got to pay a premium for Brandon Aiyuk. We got to give you a second-round pick. But we're not going to turn around and give you 2 second-round picks plus a player that you're going to extend. Absolutely not. We'll keep James Daniels, and if you want to sign him in the offseason, be my guest. But no, we're not doing that and giving you 2 seconds. You can have a fourth or even a fifth, but that's all you get. Oh, and by the way, you're not getting 2 players either. You either pick a wide receiver you want back or you pick a lineman. One of the two, you're not getting both. Make the deal or don't make the deal. If it goes that way, great. I hope that it goes that way because I think Omar Khan is being a little smart about this. He's being a little smart about it. What else we got here? Yeah, there is, man. There is somebody that's always negative, but it is what it is. We appreciate his support. Aiyuk for Roman Wilson and a second-round pick. There's no way in the world, my man, Mr. Wright, that San Francisco 49ers are going to do that. There's no chance. First of all, Roman Wilson's never played a snap in the National Football League, and he's hurt. There is a zero possibility that that's happening. Now, if they did it, okay, fine, but that ain't happening, man. That's just not happening. That's just not happening. So let's move on to this, and we can come back to this Aiyuk trade. We can come back to it. Who on the Steelers do you want to see that's kind of under the radar have a breakout season this year? Who do you guys want to see that currently is on the Steelers that kind of flying a little bit under the radar that you want to see have a breakout season? I'll start. I'll say George Pickens. Because George Pickens, to me, is underrated. I think he's underrated. I think he can be one with the proper quarterback play and proper offensive imagination. I think he can be one of the better players in the league. Now, I know a lot of people might be talking about him, but I don't think we've seen his potential. I don't think we've seen anywhere near what his potential is. So that's what I would say. Herbig. Yeah. Yeah. The only issue with Herbig, which it looks like he's going to get his shot if Alex Highsmith is really hurt, is with I don't know if Highsmith is back, like how many snaps is Herbig going to get? And which Herbig are you talking about? I guess Nate or Nick. I'm assuming it's Nick. But if it's Nate, okay. Usually people don't pick offensive linemen, so I guess you're not either. But unless it's like a tackle or something like that. But yeah, you're right. You're right. People are saying Marvin Leal in the chat. I don't disagree. He's had a really good camp. He was young. He was young when he came to the Steelers, and maybe the light bulb has flipped on for him that's saying, hey, it's time to turn this thing on. No more young can't be an excuse anymore. Either you flip the switch and you get it done, or we're not even going to keep you on this roster. And I think that switch may have turned on. I like that. I like that. Leal, I like it. I like it a lot. So I think he's got to prove something to us. People are saying Beanie. Yeah. Beanie's going to get a shot. He's going to get his shot, and hopefully he makes it work. Look, I'm biased towards Beanie. Beanie's from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm rooting for him. I am absolutely rooting for him. So good for him, man. Good for him. I want it to work out. He's looked good. Got to see some real bullets. I'll be interested to see what he does tomorrow. I will be interested to see what he can do tomorrow. There were some reports about Beanie Bishop saying that he's looked good at outside corner as well, and not just slot corner. To me, that's even better. We got a guy, super cheap, undrafted free agent that is that good, that not only can he be our slot corner, but if there's issues outside, he can also go out there. Yeah, I'll take it. I will 100% take it. So there's a little Calvin Austin love in here. I like Calvin Austin too. I think he was underutilized last year. Constant jet sweeps. Let me ask you this. As a Steelers fan, with the amount of jet sweeps that we have had to endure over the last 3 seasons, would you mind if we never ran a jet sweep ever again? Like, would you be upset if the Steelers just said, everybody's fired if we run a jet sweep? The entire organization, they got to sell the team. The Rooney's got to sell the damn team if we run another jet sweep. I just, oh my God. And not only did we do it, it was so predictable when we did it. No imagination whatsoever. Lord have mercy. I'm just so excited that we're actually going to have an offensive coordinator that puts plays together, that sets up plays, that's just not out there calling a game, that's actually setting up a game. That if it's 1st and 10, that, hey, you know what? Maybe we should play action pass on 1st and 10. Or you know what? Maybe we should act like we're going to run this, but run something else. Or you know what? We've shown this so many different times. We're going to show this, but we're actually going to run something totally different out of a formation that we have shown 100 times, and they'll never know that it's coming. I'm excited that we are actually going to have some offensive imagination. It's incredible because I know how you guys felt. I was the same way. Hold on, man. Now, look, I played college football, so I recognize a few things, but I'm no professional football player. I'm not some professional scout. But I think I'm kind of like you guys, man. I understand football. And I look at it and I'm like, okay, we're running a sweep here. And lo and behold, we ran a sweep. Okay, we're running an inside zone here. And lo and behold, we ran inside zone. Why should I be able to call the plays? Watching on television. Why should I be able to do that? Even if I'm in the stadium watching based on the formation and the position group, why should we be able to call plays? It was so bad. So bad, so confusing, so disheartening. I'm like, what are we doing, people? What is going on? Oh well. It is what it is. It is what it is. I got a question for you guys now, and I want you to answer honestly. Your boy's got an opportunity to possibly go to the Steelers Kansas City game on Christmas Day. Now, here's my dilemma. First of all, my wife is a diehard Kansas City Chiefs fan. Continue to watch the channel, people. Continue to watch. I promise you, I am not any way, shape, or form a Chiefs fan. But continue to watch. I would appreciate that. Don't hate me too much, man. I love her to death, but she's a Chiefs fan. It just is what it is. But I got an opportunity. Now, my family's supposed to be here for Christmas. Do I go to the game and then come back the next day for Christmas? Or should I? And when I say my family, like my mother, my aunt, my cousin, like people are coming in town. Should I go to the game and then come back the next day knowing that they're not going to be here? Or do I just say, you know what? It's Christmas. Watch it on TV. What do you do? So, hey, my man Ronald, here's the thing I will tell you. Early on, and when I say early on, prior to Patrick Mahomes, we always had a bet. And it was always, you got to wear the other person's attire to work, because at the time we worked at the same place. Whoever wins the game, you got to work or wear either Steelers or Chiefs gear to work the next day. And 3 out of 4 times, the Steelers were busting head. I was feeling good. We go to the game, Patrick Mahomes, his first year starting. And if you remember correctly, that game in Pittsburgh was Patrick Mahomes' coming out party. He threw for 5 touchdowns, a trillion yards. We couldn't cover him all day. There's a picture of me sitting in the stands when the game, she takes a picture of me. I'm depressed. And from then on, no bet. I've called off the bet. I said, no bet. We're not doing that no more. And then I went back on it when the Chiefs hosted us for the playoff game. What was that, 2 years ago? 2 or 3 years. I can't remember. Ben's last year, so 3 years ago. I went to the game, and it was a bloodbath, if you guys can't remember. It was a damn bloodbath. And I said, from now on, number one, I'm not going to any more games. That's number one. And number two, I'm not making this bet until we prove that we can hold our own. I think we can hold our own with them this year, people. I think the bet is back on. I'll be honest. I think that the damn bet is back on. So that's what we're going to make that happen. Now, I don't think I'm going to have to get to go to the game. I think I'm asking too much. But either way, I like it. But yeah, man, breakout people this year for the Steelers. Pickens. I want to see Faitanu. Y'all know I'm all over Beanie Bishop and Peyton Wilson. I just want to see the rookies get after it. I want to see the rookies get after it. Yeah, man. I want to see the rookies get after it. So, and tomorrow night is the beginning of all of that. Tomorrow night is the beginning. I think Pittsburgh, again, set the tone. We're not out there. Obviously we're not going to scout. You know, we don't need to do that. It's the first preseason game. All we're going to do is call basic vanilla stuff and get out there and play some football and go hit somebody else beside your own teammate. I love that aspect of it. I'm looking forward to it. We'll be live after the game. We will absolutely be live after the game. So appreciate all that. And again, man, I want to thank everybody again for y'all support, man. I know there's some people out there that are just going to say, oh, he's just lying. He's just saying anything about this being the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube. I promise it's not. I mean, numbers are out there. We started this thing April 1st or April 4th of this year. That's when we started, man. I do this part of it. My best friend does the graphics. I've known the guy for almost 30 years. And I said, hey, man, let's just put this thing together and let's just do it. And we did it. And it's because of you guys and where we have been and where we have gone. We're about to be at 2,000 subscribers. I would bet before the weekend's up, we'll be at 2,000 subscribers. And again, it's because of you guys, man. All I do is get out here and talk Steelers. That's all I do. I love them. And he doesn't necessarily like the Steelers. I'll put that out there. He doesn't necessarily like the Steelers, but I do. And he loves me, so he's willing to do the graphics, man. So I appreciate everybody being here, man. I really do appreciate all of you guys. So let's get to more questions. Let's pop through some questions here and some statements before we shut this thing down. Y'all keep talking. What do we got here? So, what do we got? My man Mark Collins says, I say Field puts up 14 points in 2 drives. Maybe. I think Fields has got to go out there and do something because I do think the first team offense is going to get at least 2 drives, maybe 3, depending on how it goes. So I don't want Fields out there with the second team offensive line, though. I don't. Not if Russell Wilson isn't going to be playing. I don't want him out there. There's no reason for it. There's just no reason for it. So, what else do we got here? What other questions do we got? I like Wilson's odds versus Mahomes as far as a QB versus QB. I mean, people are going to think that you're nuts for saying that, but Denver actually last year, Denver played the Chiefs really, really well. Number one, they beat them once, and the game in Kansas City was real close. So yeah, maybe that had a lot to do with Denver's defense was okay. It wasn't great. Kansas City's offense wasn't great, but whatever. Russell Wilson is, again, he's better than what the quarterbacks that we've had here, man. He's just better. And even if you want to throw Ben's last year into that, the last 3 years, I think the quarterbacks that we have are going to be better. I know our offensive system is going to be better, but I think they're just better. But that's a good point, Rojo. That is a real good point. So, let's see. What else do we got? My man, we're going back to my man Ronald. I think he's got something here. Might not see eye to eye about this Aiyuk trade, but love your videos, man. Keep working. I appreciate you, Ronald. I appreciate you, brother. I do. And look, there's nothing wrong with us disagreeing. There is not, as long as people aren't disrespectful, I'm not going to be disrespectful to any of you guys unless you're disrespectful to me. Period. End of story. We don't even have to have that conversation anymore. I might think your idea is crazy, and I'll say I think it's crazy. But I'm not going to disrespect you and talk. I'm just not going to do that, man. Life's too short. Life's too short. And again, we all want the same thing. We want the Steelers to win. And we built this channel in a fan's point of view. I'm not a reporter. I'm not trying to be a reporter. I don't want to be a reporter. I do happen to write for a website on the Steelers called The Noise. So if you guys get a chance, go check that out. It's literally thenoise.com. And I write for them articles twice a week. But I'm not a reporter. I'm not a beat reporter or anything like that. And I don't want to be. I want to bring this to you guys from a fan's point of view. Now, it's an educated fan's point of view, I'll admit, because, again, I've been around football my whole life. My dad was a high school football coach. I played at a high level in college, not professional. Didn't do that. But I've been watching football, and you don't have to play at the highest level to understand how the highest level works. I've always been that guy. I just didn't have the ability to play. Just didn't have the ability. Doesn't mean we don't have the knowledge, man. And that's why I like talking to you guys and bringing it from that point of view. I think that's important. There's not enough of me out here. You know what I'm saying? There's not enough guys that really know football, that are not beat reporters, that just want to talk in a fan's point of view about football than actually know what they're talking about. Yeah, I'll toot my own horn a little bit. I know what I'm talking about, but a lot of you guys do too. Use me as the mouthpiece, man. I'll get our information out there to us. So let's see. What else do we got? My man Mark Collins said Fields and Stroud and the quarterback from Green Bay are working out in the off time. It helped Fields. I think it did too, Mark. I think it did too, because those guys are friends. And I think they got knowledge and passing on knowledge to each other that helped Fields. I believe that. I do. It's a different generation. The generation that I grew up with, I'm 48. Quarterbacks weren't sharing information. They weren't doing that. I think the guys now realize, hey, man, there's never going to be a time where you're tackling me or trying to tackle me. You're trying to beat my team, but I can give you information on how to be a better quarterback. It's just a different time, a different mentality. It's just different. And I don't disagree with it. What else do we got? I'm going to scroll up here because I may have missed some comments. So, let's go back down. Keep throwing the comments at me, people. We'll keep answering questions here for a little bit. So, both Fields and Wilson will have a great year. Now, there, Rojo, I disagree. Because here's the thing. If Russell Wilson's a starter and he has a great year, Justin Fields not going to play a lot. And as Steeler fans, we don't want him to play a lot. Why? You're not playing two quarterbacks, man. That's just not going to happen. If Russell Wilson's playing good, he's going to continue to play. And now if Justin Fields plays good, that means Russell Wilson did not play good and Justin Fields got on the field. So that's where I disagree with you. Both guys can't have great years. I'm sorry. It can't be that way. Because I'll tell you right now, if Russell Wilson is playing well and the Steelers are winning games and they take him out to put in Justin Fields, I will be the biggest fire Mike Tomlin person on the face of the earth. The biggest fire Mike Tomlin. You thought that I'm not going to mention that offensive coordinator's name. I told you I wasn't going to do it. But y'all heard everything last year in the stadium about fire, bleep, bleep. Or actually fire, bleep, 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 bleep. Y'all knew that. I would be that guy every single day about Mike Tomlin if he made that decision. Every day. Every day. And again, I have been on record previously talking about Mike Tomlin saying enough is enough of the 500. I need a playoff win. You know what? If we got into the playoffs somehow as a wild card and we were 8-9, but we won a playoff game, I would be fine with that. And I bet you you Steeler fans, just like me, we would be fine with that too. That 500 record doesn't mean a whole lot if we can never compete in the playoffs. It just doesn't mean anything to me. I want to win enough of 500. I know that he hasn't had the best things to work with. Some of that is his fault, though. Nobody asked him to hire that bad offensive coordinator. Nobody told him he needed to hire that guy. He chose to do that. Nobody told him he needed to keep him on for 3 damn years. He chose to do that. He could have got rid of him. Nobody made him keep Ben Roethlisberger that last year. Nobody made him draft Kenny Pickett. And we can say that the general manager did this. Hey, man, Mike Tomlin's been in this job long enough. He's got the cachet. He has some pull on who gets drafted and who doesn't. They didn't say he had to take baby hands Pickett. They didn't say that, man. Okay? He chose to do that. So that's all it is. That's all it is. Let's see here. The man Geraldo. In other words, if they're battling each other, that means that neither one is doing good, which is not good for us. That, again, I disagree. Just because guys are battling it out for a job, that doesn't mean both of them are playing bad. Again, come on, man. Come on, people. Don't be glass half empty, people. Be glass half full. If they're battling for the job, what if they're both just playing well? That's a good thing. You know, just because they're battling doesn't mean that they're playing bad. For instance, if Russell Wilson's playing good and Justin Fields is playing better and he wins the job, where's the bad part? Where is that not good for the Steelers? Battling doesn't mean bad. We got to get that out. Look, I get it. We got PTSD from Kenny Pickett and the former offensive coordinator. I get it, man. We're not using we've been beat down over the last 3 years, man. We have been beat down. I get it. But we got to get out of that way of thinking. It's not that bad. It's just not. Everything isn't a catastrophe. You know what I'm saying? Everything is just not a catastrophe. So we'll see, though. We'll see. Look at that. Kenny Kitten Mittens catching straight. Hey, man, look. Somebody told me the other day that I needed to stop. First of all, they were a Kenny Pickett apologizer. And that I needed to stop calling him baby hands Pickett, that he was great. He was going to go win the job in Philadelphia, and the Steelers made a mistake. And I said, first of all, he's not going to win a job over a guy that they're paying $52 million a year that is playing pretty good football. That's number one. Number two, he stinks. Okay? He stinks. And I left it at that. Because if Kenny Pickett was playing good football, you know what? He'd be in Pittsburgh. He would be in. Now, he tried to give all the excuses in the world. He was mismanaged, yada, yada, yada. But he played bad. Let's just call it what it was. And I get that he had a bad offensive coordinator. He did, but he played bad, and that was it. And number one, let's just call it what it was. He never should have been drafted in the first round. That was the year that the next quarterback wasn't taken into the third round. Kenny Pickett wasn't no first round talent. We all know that. The Steelers panicked, or Kevin Pritchard or Kevin Colbert panicked and took him because we needed a quarterback. We didn't need one that bad. We didn't need that guy. And yeah, he won some football games for us, made some great throws and comeback games. I'll give him credit for that. But he also lost some games for us. Okay? Let's not lose sight of that. He lost some games. And also the games that we won, like, for instance, last year, the Baltimore game. Well, he made the throw to win the game. Yes, he did. But wouldn't you say that the defense kept us in the game because our offense couldn't move the football? Wouldn't we say that our defense kept us in that game, kept Baltimore out of the end zone, so finally you made a play? I think that's what happened. Oh, not to mention at the end of the game, we got a strip sack to win the game. But, hey, that's just me. Enough about him, man. I don't want to talk about it. It only makes me mad. It only makes me mad. So, Okay, Geraldo, I'll give you another chance here. Okay, let me elaborate what I meant was if we start playing Fields and Wilson back to back to back, there's no, yeah, you're right. They're never going to do that, man. They're never going to do that. If they play Wilson and just flip flop them back and forth and yada, they're never going to do that. Or let me just clarify, because again, anything could happen. If they do that, I again will be screaming for Mike Tomlin to be fired. I will be screaming it from the rooftop. Give somebody win the job and let them play themselves in or out of it. Period. No, well, we haven't made a decision and we're going back and forth. And I know what people will say. Well, San Francisco 49ers did that back in the day and it worked out. Okay, you're right. But think about who the quarterbacks were that were doing that. First of all, they had Bill Walsh. That was the head coach, possibly the greatest offensive mind in the history of the National Football League. That's number one. Number two, the quarterbacks just so happened to be Joe Montana and Steve Young. I mean, and one, Joe Montana, I say is the GOAT. I think Joe Montana is still the greatest quarterback of all time. That's my opinion. You can come at me if you want. I don't care. Steve Young just happens to be a Hall of Famer who had an outstanding career. So what are we talking about? We're not talking about that with Fields and Wilson. Okay? I'm not saying those guys can't be good, but let's keep it in context. But you're right. They're not going to do that. They better not do that. So they better not do that. Joseph, it's also Tomlin's fault for keeping Mitch in that long on the 3 game. Yeah, it is Tomlin's fault. You could have been done. I was done with Mitch after that first game. After that very first game. Now, we lost to Arizona when Pickett got hurt in the first quarter, and Mitchell Trubisky played horrendous. I would have went to Mason Rudolph the next game against New England. I would have went to him then. But Tomlin didn't. They stayed with Trubisky. And then we went, and he played lousy against New England. Then he let him go against Indianapolis, and he played lousy again. I'm like, come on, man. What are you doing? And at that time, I'm glad I didn't have a Steelers Almighty channel because I was screaming for the Steelers to let Mike Tomlin go. I was screaming for it. Look, if y'all haven't noticed, I wear my heart on my sleeve a lot. And during these games, when we do these rants after the game, you are going to feel a lot of my emotion. But I'll be honest, isn't that what we want as fans? Isn't that what we put out there as fans? Our emotion? So, like I said, the channel is built by a fan for fans. So, there it is, man. There it is. What else do we got here, man? What else do we have? You're right about that. There were so many of us out there that had the fake false hope for Kenny Pickett when we knew. Even the Kenny Pickett apologists knew. They knew, man. They knew. So, they knew that. Let's see. What else do we got? What else do we got? Uh-oh. I'm misunderstanding something. Marian Geraldo, give him another shot here. No, brother, you misunderstood me. Iron sharpens iron. I meant like people are saying that we go back and forth with Fields and Russell. It's like, no, we need to stick with Russell unless there's – I get what you're saying. I get it. No. Here's what – let me clarify. I don't care who wins the job. I literally don't care. I don't care if it's Justin Fields, and y'all have heard me on here. I don't care if it's Mickey Mouse. I don't care who wins the job. As long as you can get us in and out of the right play, as long as you can be accurate with the football and we win football games, I could care less who the quarterback is of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really don't care. And I think most of you guys feel the same way. So that's it. That's all. That's all. I'm with you, but my man. I'm with you. I'm with you. So self-made. That in-house mentality that Pittsburgh has, I hate it. And I think you're talking about just hiring within and, you know, the Steeler way and all that. I think I'm over the Steeler way too. I love being a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, but like for instance, this Cam Hayward thing. Like Cam Hayward's a 35-year-old defensive tackle that's coming off an injury-plagued season. Yeah, I would love for Cam to come back and have a great year this year. But are you kidding me? Extending him for 2 or 3 years? No. You get a year-to-year contract, Cam. That's what you can have. Oh, and by the way, you're making $16 million. If you want to stay in Pittsburgh next year, how about 4? You can have 4. And if you don't want that, I totally understand. But we got to move on. We got to get younger, and we got to get some more guys in here. We got to get somebody else in here for way less money. We can't afford to pay a 35-year-old, and next year it'll be 36, $16 million a year. I love Cam, but the Steeler way, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. It can't be that. It just can't be that. You know, $16 million. Again, I want Cam to have the best year that he possibly can. But at that age, number one, Cam's got to be fair to the Steelers too. I understand the Steelers got to be fair to him, but he's got to be fair too. 36, coming off an injury-plagued season. You're getting $16 million. Should we – I mean, we're going to give that to you this year. Next year, it's a one-year deal. And you're taking a big pay cut to come back to Pittsburgh if you want to come back. Steeler way, look, it can get in the way sometimes. For years, we've been an organization that has kept guys a year too long versus getting rid of guys a year too early. The Patriots were notorious for getting rid of guys a year too early. And people used to hate them for it. But the Patriots kept winning. Now, you could say because they had Tom Brady, and yeah, that was a lot of it. But they also were able to replace guys a year early. And they did it. They were good at scouting, and they replaced – I mean, the one that everybody wants to talk about, Richard Seymour, they won 2 more Super Bowls after that, man. They replaced him. They just did. You know? And that guy's a Hall of Famer. But they were like, no, I'm sorry. He's probably got a year or 2 left, but we need to get younger, quicker. And they did. So, like I said, I love the Steelers way. I love the loyalty, but sometimes you can be loyal to a fault, people. We can be loyal to a fault. So, here we got one. I'm hoping Justin Fields balls out and wins the job because I have zero faith for Pittsburgh to find a QB in the draft. It's been difficult, hasn't it? It's been now, I mean, you could say, well, they found Ben Roethlisberger. Hey, man, that was 20 years ago. And yes, he played for 20 years. But, okay, don't you want your quarterback to play that long? I mean, I do. That's why I said at the very beginning, I thought, hey, man, Justin Fields got to win this job because if he wins the job, he's going to be the quarterback for Pittsburgh for the next decade. That's what I want. I don't want, okay, well, we got this guy and he's here for 2 years and we got to go find another one and we got to go find another one. And if you think about it, it's not only a Pittsburgh problem finding a quarterback, it's a league problem. Think about how many times, like, for instance, this past year, 6 quarterbacks got taken with the top 12 picks. We all know that 4 of those guys are going to be out of football in 5 years. We know it. That's just going to happen. In 5 years, 4 of those guys are going to be out of football. That's just the way it works, man. And 6 of them 6 were taken in the top 12 picks. And 4 of the guys won't even be playing football in 5 years. It's just the way that. Think about Josh Rosen. Y'all remember Josh Rosen? He was supposed to be the best thing smoking. Couldn't keep a job. Played 1 year. The Cardinals said, yeah, we're done with this guy, and took Kyler Murray the very next year and traded his butt right out of there. I mean, that's the way this league works, man. You miss more than you hit. You miss more than you hit. So, what else do we got? My man, Kevin Steelers fan. Loyalty is why players want to play for Tomlin, but I get it. It might be loyalty. I think they enjoy the way that Mike Tomlin coaches them. He coaches them hard. He coaches them fair. And Mike Tomlin gets the reputation of being a cheerleader, a rah-rah coach, a player's coach, and he is. And that's why people want to play for him. You don't hear other than Antonio Brown, but I think we know what's going on with Antonio Brown. But nobody's bad-mouthing Mike Tomlin. Nobody's doing that. They enjoy playing for Mike Tomlin because he wants men to be men when it comes to playing football. He doesn't want to have to ride guys. And I think that's part of his loyalty thing is he would go with veterans over young guys because young guys still need to learn how to be a professional. And Mike Tomlin doesn't want to have to teach young guys to be professionals. Well, sometimes you got to do that, man. Sometimes you got to be able to step in and say, that's not how it's done. This is how you become a professional. And I get we want men to be men, but I think that Mike Tomlin, he's got to understand that young guys can help you, but sometimes you got to help them understand what it means to be a professional, to act professional. Every locker room's not the same. Every locker room can't dictate and can't control that. Every now and then, the head coach has to be the guy. You know, you would like for your locker room to be able to teach young guys how to do all that. Sometimes your locker room's not built for that. Sometimes it just isn't. So, and I think we saw that last season with George Pickens, with Deontay Johnson. We saw some of that with Okorafor, who was god-awful, by the way. He was bad. Oh, my God, he was a bad right tackle. How the Steelers, you talk about fleecing people, how we fleeced the Bears for Chase Claypool. Okorafor fleeced us for our contract. Gee, many Christmas, he was terrible. Oh. And from time to time, yes, I'm going to talk bad about Steeler football players. It's just facts, you know, and we like to give them, and they're good and bad. If a guy plays good, we'll tell you. If he's playing bad, we'll tell you. Last one before I got to bust out of here, people. I love Russ and want him to be the starter, but I agree. I don't want to go through this again in 2 or 3 more years. No, man. My man's self-made. I don't either. That's the thing. Russell Wilson's not playing a decade, man. He's just not. If he got 5 years left, I think only 3 of them will be good. So at some point, the Steelers are going to have to do this again if we have Russell Wilson. And there's no way Justin Fields is just going to sit back and be a backup, especially the way that he's played in preseason. Now, if he goes out and has good preseason games and puts that on tape, he'll be able to go somewhere else and be a starter next year. So, I don't know. That's why I said all along I wanted Justin Fields to win the job. Tomlin said it's still a competition. He also said that games in stadium are valued much heavier than on the practice field. So, Justin Fields, here's your opportunity. And maybe that's Tomlin's coach speak and saying, yeah, we get it. Justin's had a great practice, but we're going to judge things on the field. They have much more weight. So maybe that's him saying Justin Fields got a big opportunity here. And if he comes through, maybe he can win the job. I don't know. It could be coach speak, or maybe that's his way of giving us the coach speak on what he wants to see happen. Go win the job during the preseason, Justin. We're going to give you the opportunity, man. Well, here's his opportunity. I want Justin Fields to take it. Again, that's nothing against Russ. I've been the same guy since we signed both of them. I want Justin to win the job because I think he can be the quarterback for the next decade. And I also think he fits what Arthur Smith wants to do a little bit more. And he opens up the offense a little bit more. If he can be consistent, get the ball out of his hand, process information which again, Arthur Smith offense, it allows you to process information much quicker as a quarterback because you're not reading both sides of the fields when you're dropping back. A lot of his stuff is layered. It's 1, 2, 3 on the same side of the field. Then maybe you have to come back to 4 or something like that, or check down, where Justin Fields has that option to run. So I think the offense is tailor-made for him. I think he could be a better fit, but that doesn't mean I don't think Russell Wilson can be successful. That's just my preference. So, all right, man. So I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you guys again for showing up and showing out like you always do. We will be live after the game tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it, man. If you haven't already, by the way, go make sure you check out our latest podcast that came out yesterday on Steelers Almighty on YouTube. Again, you can always find us, youtube.com/Steelers Almighty. Anywhere that you get a podcast, you prefer the audio version, make sure you go check that out as well. And all social media platforms, we are at SteelersAlmighty.com. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter because I wasn't a big Twitter or X guy. I wasn't that, but I think I'm going to get on there. So if you guys have a Twitter account, make sure you go and you follow Steelers Almighty. I'm going to start getting on there and sending out stuff. I will definitely be doing that during the game tomorrow. So if you want to find me during the game, I'll be on Twitter tomorrow tweeting out exactly what we see. So until then, man, I appreciate everybody. I love everybody. Thank you all for the support. The Steelers, we got something going, man. Tomorrow, we play a real football game. Let's go, Steelers. I'll holler at you guys.